Episode 15 starts off with the girls giving their explanation as to why they voted out Gabriel. And they were saying he was jumping from one person to the next person, and they don't think anything would be good enough for him. To be honest, I do think the girls did a little too much. Like they should have just done it, and then all the explanation just, I don't know, that didn't seem necessary to me, like everything they were saying. Another thing that didn't seem necessary to me was his reaction and his, I cannot stand his hands. He talks with his hands, and they're little skinny hands, and they just bug me. But him being so shocked at their choice, because the boys should have sent Kinsey home. Well, I wish they had sent Kinsey home. They should have, but I think that Jen should have gone. Jen and Kinsey, either way, they shouldn't have sent Soul home. That's for sure. It was funny because Trinity, I don't know what she was saying. Like Zach was like, it doesn't make sense, but it didn't really make sense. And so Melanie was like, I think what she's trying to say, and I still didn't get what they were trying to say. But when they were talking about exploring, that's when Soul was like, isn't that what you're supposed to do? When they asked Jen, or when Ariana asked Jen how she felt, and the things she was saying, and then Zach was like, she doesn't give a shit. Look, Zach is on my nerves, but I felt this. I was actually thinking the same thing. Like, she doesn't really care. What is this? What in the world is Bryce doing with this back hug? And you could tell Gabrielle was a little uncomfortable because he kind of laughed. He's like, what are you doing, man? Or he said something like that. Look at Zach. Is he jelly? So KC pulls Soul for a chat, and I know she's thinking, a little too late. Zach was talking about, he's very vocal, first of all, about all this. But anyway, he was talking about how Kinsey's explored a lot of guys too, even more than Gabrielle. So why didn't they should have, with their going with the girls' logic, they should have kicked Kinsey out. Okay. And they're doing it right in front of Corbin. Soul's leaving, and she tells him, this next time a bombshell comes in, be a little more open and don't be closed off, or like, not closed off, but that too. But don't make her feel isolated like I did. And off they go. Then the guys start talking junk. The guys meaning Zach and Bryce, and Kata's like, whatever. And then they piss, and then Zach was like, you guys won't get breakfast or whatever. And um Trinity had me cracking up because she was like, it's whatever. If y'all want to talk about it, I want to talk about it. I'm not backing down on anything, like whatever. Trinity cracks me up. I just wish she find a guy who doesn't have a crush on another guy in the island. Oh, there goes Sincere in them freaking hands, acting like he doesn't understand something. He was like, the girls are just getting caught out on their bullshit and they're mad. Just like a soul called you out on yours and you got mad. That's why you wanted to be the big one that sent her home. Out of here. Trinity was like, what y'all mad for? Y'all should be sad. What y'all mad for? It's giving bromance. Yes, girl, it is. The guys are all talking, and Zach, oh my God. And then he has the nerve to say, who are they saving Caleb for? A bombshell. Just like a bombshell, the ones that you keep talking about and you can't stop talking about. That's who he could have. That's who could come in anytime. Don't act like you don't remember the bombshell show up, because that's all you've been thinking about. Jen should have gone. She's talking about how hot she is and how guys always treat her that way. And I don't know. Her conversations, she could leave the villa and I don't think anything would change. Corbin and Kinsey are talking, and she says she was saying she hates that they're in the bottom, which I knew that the whole time that she was there. And then she's like, why do you think that is? And for some reason, she doesn't think it's her. She doesn't think she's the reason. Corbin was like, maybe it's my, so she's thinking America's seeing something that she's not. And Corbin was like, maybe it's my personality or whatever he said. But it's not just Corbin, and it's mostly Kinsey, but she is probably thinking it surely can't be me. And then he told her what the guy said about her exploring more people than Gabe. And also that she's like, because they were talking about Gabe. And then he goes, well, the guys think the same thing about you. And she's like, I'm not lustful. Lustful? She said it in a way like she was correcting him as if he used the wrong word, like she keeps doing. She does not like the way she's being perceived at all. So the girls go over to the guys because they're like, look, what's going on? They're all mad. Let's talk this out. So they did talk it out. And then Zach had the nerve to be like, so, well, since you saved Caleb, since you saved him, are you going to go talk to him? I want to see all you girls go over there and talk to him. I want to see everybody go talk to him. That's using your logic. Who are you to say who somebody should talk to? Zach is on my last nerve, for real. And then Zach said he couldn't, um, when they were standing up there, he said he wasn't ready to say goodbye to Bryce. So Bryce came over and gave him a hug. This was funny because Anaya went over to Caleb to give him a hug, and he said, "You smell good." And then Bryce was like, "Oh," and he said, "Oh, you're making the first move." And then Caleb goes, "Yep, I'm gonna be moving differently in here." He was joking, but it was still funny. Now she's talking about her ideal type. Melanie asked her, and she described it, and it's the opposite of Gabe. Why this happened, I do not know. But Bryce decided to share his morning business with Zach. Someone was talking to this the next day, and someone was talking to Kata about would she explore. Um, did she say? Did they say Caleb? I can't remember. They asked her if she would explore, and she said yes. We are very open, and I'm glad she says that. I hope she means it. And then KC was like the only. He said the only people who have a good relationship, solid relationship, besides him and Anaya, are Zach and Kata. And Bryce did not like that. He was like, "What do you mean? I've been with the same, in my situation." And he said, "Yeah, but you were exploring some shit." But the thing is, that's what they're supposed to do. They are all locked in too soon. That's not really the name of this game. But now I fear it's shifting. Love Island is shifting, and people are being more strategic and trying to win the game more. So Bryce is bringing up what happened with Casey and how it bugged him. And then Zach was like, I think that Corbin and Kinsey have a better relationship, a stronger relationship than they do because he they're like opposites, but it works. And then Bryce was like, yeah, he had Melanie in his bed and he still chose Kinsey, which makes me think. So Bryce thinks Melanie is better looking or a better catch than Kinsey. It sounds like. Well, he probably just it's probably physical for him. He probably thinks she's looks better. And then randomly Zach starts talking about what Bryce showed him in the morning. And he was like, yeah, that's and so Bryce goes, what do you think about it? He was like, it's long. What? So Caleb gets a text. There's a challenge. What does this look, Anaya? It's a no. So they get to the challenge. The challenge is I could take them or leave them, but they do spill a little tea. And the one thing I knew Bryce was, if he got the chance, he was gonna say something about KC, and he did. And he mentioned how he doesn't think his intentions, the question was someone who seems like a hero, but they're really a villain. So he said KC because he doesn't know what his intentions are. So they like bust a balloon of goo or something over their heads. And I knew Anaya was gonna be like, "What?" And that's the look. So afterwards, they're discussing it, and Bryce tells KC why he did that. Well, he didn't tell him because he's mad, but he told him he's not sure because he about him and exploring soul, but not really exploring soul. Kata, they were talking about the kiss she had with Caleb because Caleb kissed Kata in the challenge, and she was like, she said she kind of liked it. And so they were like, would you, Kenzie was like, would you pull him? She said, he could pull me. And Kenzie tried to act like she was happy for her. But we all know Kenzie wants Caleb to be her backup. Oh, and back to the challenge. Bryce had to kiss somebody. And who was it? I forgot who it was. And they were like, Bryce can't kiss y'all because that's the second person to complain about his kissing. I forgot who it was, but it was kind of funny. So Bryce did ask Casey if he thinks he's gonna have if Anaya's gonna say something. He's like, probably. Trinity tries to tell her it's probably just because they had a disagreement and that don't think too much into it.